What's up, guys? Welcome to the second episode of the Mommy Mindset Mentor. So I'm super excited for today's episode because I'm going to have my first ever guest on my podcast, and she is a business owner of a fitness apparel called Libra, and she is actually the first person that I ever met when I moved down to South Florida. So it's such an honor to have her as my first guest on my podcast. Liz, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me. I've always told my boyfriend, I'm like, damn, I want to start getting on podcasts more. And then that same exact day, Daisy hits me up in the DMs. She's like, hey, do you want to be a guest on my podcast? I'm like, yes, of course.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy.
So, we want to get to know you a little bit because, like, obviously now, you know, you're 22 years old, you have your own apartment, you have your own business, you're in a great relationship. But I want to backtrack a few years from today. And you used to be in college. So what were you going to school for? And what jobs were you working at the time?
Well, okay. I was obviously fresh out of high school, 18 years old. And for my entire life, my parents always told me to be a doctor or to be a lawyer. Like something, it's a Hispanic parents thing. But they only see high value jobs as doctor, lawyer. That's it. So I kind of was brainwashed to believe that I wanted to be a doctor. I loved helping people, but I just didn't know what way I was going to help them. And it just made sense. Like I just connected two and two together. I was like, oh, doctor, helping people, saving lives. Perfect. Let's do that one. So I started going to school and I majored in biochemistry. I did it for like 2 years. And after that, I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. I remember like I basically failed my organic chemistry class because I stopped caring. Like I loved chemistry, I love science, I love school, I love learning, but that field was just not for me. I didn't see myself a slave to an office 24/7, wasting my 20s in school and busting my butt trying to learn about something that I clearly wasn't interested in, like pursuing a career in. So yeah, my jobs at the time, I was a personal trainer for almost 2 years. I did it as like my little side job. And I was a group class coach in that same gym. And I was making decent money. Like it was paying, you know, the little bills that I had because I lived with my parents still. But yeah, that was basically what I did. And I also did network marketing with Daisy for like 3.5 years. This year was when I finally was like calling it quits on that. But yeah, I was very busy. I was doing a bunch of stuff at the same time. Children, hi, mommy. But yeah, it was a great time because I learned a lot of things about myself. And I'm happy and so grateful to God that happened early on in my life and not like when I already was finished with my degree and my career. And I would have felt like I lost all of that time, you know, like just trying to discover myself. So I've always been that type of person where I'm like, okay, if you don't like this, don't do it. Like figure it out.
You know? That's so good that like you trusted in your intuition and knowing like, you know, this is not for me. I'm not going to do something just because my parents want me to do it, you know. So you've been in the fitness industry because obviously you were a personal trainer, but how long have you been wanting to start up your own fitness apparel business?
2018 I actually did, well, 2018 2019 I believe, I don't know, I think it was 2019. I had launched a kind of fitness apparel brand. Everything was hand sewn and handmade by a designer, but the girl was just super professional. Like I started taking pre-orders for these things because obviously since it was handmade, I didn't want to pay for a product that I wasn't going to be able to sell. And at the time I was 19 years old. I didn't know my audience, you know, like I worked at a gym, but I didn't know who would actually buy from me, you know? And in most of these people's eyes, I was just seen as like a little girl, you know? So, it was called Liz Fit, like LISFIT. And it was the most basic thing ever. I'm so glad I didn't go through with it. But, but basically like it was scrunch leggings. It was just like I did 50 leggings. That's it. It was a one-time thing. And after that girl was so unprofessional with me, I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna backtrack. I'm gonna stop doing this and focus on my network marketing business and grow that, make as much money as possible so then I can fund what I really want to do later on. I wanted to get into the industry for sure when I was 18. So 4 years ago, basically, yeah.
So let's backtrack to 2021, which was last year. I know that you were in a long-term relationship for 5 years. And do you feel like the type of partner that you have can affect a person's self-esteem, hinder their growth, boost up their confidence? Like what part did your 5-year relationship play a part on you?
We started dating when I was 15, he was 17, you know? So we were kids. We went all these years and we started growing into the person that I started growing into the individual that I wanted to be. Imagine, I literally just told you all the freaking mental obstacles that I had to accomplish. Like I thought I wanted to be a doctor when we started dating. And then all of a sudden I was wanting to be an entrepreneur by the end of it, you know, like completely different person. And we just grew apart. Like it was hard to leave that relationship because I was so comfortable and so used to him that it hurt when it happened. I'm not gonna lie. Like obviously, like I knew that we weren't meant for each other because our goals were completely different, but it did hurt because I was comfortable and that's all I knew. Like he was the first real relationship that I had, you know? But afterwards I started seeing, like once I wasn't in the relationship anymore, I started looking back and I was like, damn, this wasn't conducive to my growth in my finances. I felt like I was always stuck in a hole. I wasn't progressing. I had all these dreams and everything felt like I was always stuck in the same place. Like I would progress, I would move 2 steps forward and move 3 steps backwards. Like everything just felt like I was being held back. And I knew it was him. I was comfortable and I didn't want to accept it and I didn't want to leave. But it completely different. First off, this is like my current boyfriend right now. This guy is like the male version of me. We are identical. We finish each other's sentences. I thought that was the cheesiest thing and that was only like in movies, and it's real. The guy, instead of watching anime on every single minute of his free time, is watching YouTube videos on finance, real estate, crypto. Like he's educating himself 24/7. And that's so attractive to me. I'm like, bro, yes, it's a completely different person, completely different environment that I'm in with him. And that's pushing me to be better, obviously. But yes, your partner, choose him wisely and don't settle for less.
What ended up happening with the apartment that you guys were living in together?
This was like the toughest period of my life. Like so far, that was it. We moved in 2020, August of 2020. And by then, this is like the first time I think I've said this publicly, but like by then I already knew that I didn't want to be with this guy forever. Regardless, he left me the apartment. I had a lot. I started paying that apartment on credit cards. That's how tight money was, because my income with my network marketing company was just not enough anymore. Everything was falling through. I wasn't making as much money as I once was with the company. And I was also in denial because I told myself like, oh, you don't need a job. Like, what are you going to get a job for? Like you're not a job person. And dude, it was hard. Like it was hard. My parents would help me out here and there. But it was hard. Like I was struggling a lot. Credit card debt like engulfed me basically. And now is when I'm finally getting out of all of that debt.
So how did you go from not being able to pay your bills to funding a business?
December of 2021 was when I decided to like start Libera. I was still struggling financially. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, my mom was the one that gave me the first like 500, literally it was $500. That's what it took to start Libera. $500. She gave me the money and she was like, oh, you know what? Like, just start it. Like, go ahead. I know it's gonna sell. You have the audience for it. Like, and I know you're really passionate about it. Like, go for it. And then I quickly realized that we were gaining way too many customers because I had started up the newsletter 2 months before I launched. And I was like, yo, I only have 50 leggings. Again, 50. I was like, what? I don't know why I stick with that number, but whatever. It was always 50. I had 50 leggings and I was like, yo, this is gonna sell. And this is gonna sell really fast because in 2 months we had already had more than 150 subscribers to the newsletter. I was like, oh my God, I don't have money right now. How am I gonna get more inventory? And then my boyfriend's like, babe, I got you. I'll give you another 500. Get some more. And I was a little bit hesitant because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not used to like a man helping me out because he's always broke. Like the one that I've always had next to me has been broke. So so nothing, like I was like, all right, whatever, that's cool. Perfect. I bought another batch and thank God I did because launch day we sold over 70%. Just that first day, 70% of the inventory. So it was great. And that's basically how we started. But I didn't start with my own funds. I didn't even have money at the time. I was still struggling to pay my bills.
That is so amazing because you didn't wait. You didn't wait until like I'm in a mentally good space and everything's perfect. Like that's not how it goes. Like you need to start where you are with what you have.
Yeah, everything was crumbling at that time. I was like literally at the point of like, yo, I need the job. But yeah, I just decided to do it. I don't know. I make weird decisions at weird times, but it always works out.
Question. I might have another question after that, but how did you come up with the name Libera and what does that represent? Like, what does that mean? What does Libera mean?
Okay, so it means, honestly, it means
does it mean like freedom?
You could associate it to that because of the eagle. Like I saw this logo on Canva when I was creating the name, because the logo came first and then came the name. I remember I posted on my close friends on Instagram a couple of options and I was like, okay, you guys, I need help because I don't like, this is a big decision because I want this brand to pop off. Like that's my idea. That's my vision for this. And I don't want to have like a name that in the end, like I'm not going to like, or I'm going to have to change. So I posted the eagle because that's another thing. I wanted it to be a unisex brand since I did want to include like men's wear, like active wear for men and all that stuff later on for men. So I wanted to have a unisex logo. So I found the eagle and I was like, oh, this is so cute. Wow, I haven't seen anybody do an eagle. I see like wolves, I see Gymshark, I see all these other things, but I don't see an eagle. And I wanted it also to like represent, because I'm very patriotic. I love all that stuff, and you know that. But I don't know, I wanted to represent kind of like America as well. So I got the eagle, and then one of the names was Libera that I put on the poll. And that was like an overwhelming, like everybody wanted Libera. So I was like, all right, cool. It matches with the eagle. Great. So we'll do it. But it really wasn't something that meant so much to me. It started with a logo. And then from the logo, we went into the name and it worked out.
What advice would you give people who want to start up a business and they feel like they have no support, right? Like their boyfriend doesn't support them. Their parents think they're crazy. Their parents say they need to go to school. They shouldn't be thinking about these crazy things that are unrealistic.
For somebody that might be going through that same situation or something even worse, or maybe like you don't know where you're going yet. You kind of want to take this route. You want to test the waters in this way, but you don't have the support. It's a hard question to answer realistically because everybody's situation is different, and I don't want to like have like a tablecloth and put it over and expect that that's like the solution for everybody's problem. But have belief in yourself. When people see that you believe in yourself, and it might be the most unreasonable, unrealistic plan, and you seem crazy because you believe in yourself so much, because that was my case. It doesn't matter, as long as you know that you have faith in your abilities, and you're gonna learn, and you're gonna make you're gonna make the mistakes. Don't think that just because you believe in yourself, you're not gonna make mistakes. But just do it. Just do it. Stop questioning whether you're gonna fail, because that's evident. You are gonna fail multiple times. You're gonna commit the mistakes. Don't be afraid of making the mistakes. I have a lot of people always in my DMs, like, just telling me, like, oh, I wish I was, I wish I was like as brave or as courageous or inspirational as you. I'm like, dude, I'm literally a regular girl from a suburb in Miami. I'm not even from Miami. I'm
just a regular
Hialeah.
girl from Hialeah.
Yeah, I'm from Hialeah. A little Cuban girl from Hialeah. I am not different than you. And I was super shy when I was little too. Like, this version of myself, I've had to like push out of my comfort zone so much, because this was not me. And just do it. Do the things. Start showing up as the person that you want to be in the future, not the person that you are now. Like, if you're this shy person right now, don't show up as the shy person. Show up as the extroverted person that you want to be, the person that like just starts conversations, networks with people. That's the person that you should be showing up as, even before you become that person, because the only way you're going to become that person is if you start doing the things that person would do.
That is it. Thank you so much for hopping on and answering all of the questions that I have for you. So give them your Instagrams. That way they can check you out and shop Libera.
So first off, thank you for having me, and I feel so honored for being the first guest. I loved it. And so my personal Instagram is Lismary Fit. So LISMARYFIT. And then the company's Instagram is Libera Fitness. So LIBERA Fitness.
I hope that you guys got a lot of gems and value out of this conversation, and just try to picture yourself and know that you're not alone. People who start up a business don't have it all together, or have all the money, or have all of the support. They're just people who believe in themselves and are willing to start where they are with what they have, and they're willing to learn from their failures.